Supreme Court shall have ruled.
Okay, brother. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Darius Daylon there. Let's now go and take our brother here, Jacob Barnes. Jacob, we're listening to a lot, and it is not as though it's been discussed hush hush. We're hearing it. It's at the neck. It's happening. The hearing is going on. What do you make of all of this?
Well, Costa, let me first of all say good morning, and I'm very sorry for the very unfortunate situation last night. I was very worried when I was informed, and I sent you a text message, and
thank you.
That saddens me to know that people will try to silence a voice like you. Immediately last night, my wife called me, and she was very troubled. But I'm glad that you are healthy, and
God is good.
Again, you're back on your feet, and you continuing the fight to preserve our nation. I appreciate it, and I pray God's blessings on you. You know, Costa, what is happening in our country will be written down in history, and that's why it is extremely imperative that people like you and people like myself will do everything possible to make sure that we can avert the potential danger, the potential catastrophic outcome if nothing is being done. What is unfolding at the level of the Elections Commission, you do not have to be politically or legally savvy to understand that a lot of things have gone wrong. Our procedures were not followed, the laws were violated, and if these happen, if procedures are breached and laws are violated, what is the necessary remedy? Things have to be changed. Things have to be done the right way.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter who it pleases or not. It has to be done the right way. I read very, very keenly the statement about the United States through the U.S. Embassy in Monrovia. And I think it's a very unfortunate effort by the United States that undermines our gains over the past several years since we ended the 14 years of civil unrest. We are not a perfect democracy, but we have made significant gains, and I think the United States, being the mother of democracy, should do everything possible to continue to enhance or to promote our democracy. The statement made undermine our gains.
And the interesting thing is, the president's chief lobbyist, Reva Livingston, is in town, just so you know.
Yeah.
And then the Americans themselves are investigating Russian influence in the elections.
So it's a contradiction.
Precisely. Yesterday or the day before, Secretary of the Justice Department, Jeff Sessions, appeared before the House's Committee on Judiciary, answered questions about alleged Russian influence in the election. They're still talking about it 1 year on, nearly 1 year on. No, not nearly, 1 year on.
1 year on. But let's go beyond that. Let's go beyond that. Dated in 2000, after the election between George Bush and Al Gore, there was an issue in the state of Florida, and Al Gore had gone to as a matter of fact, it went to the Supreme Court of Florida, and there was a 4-3 rule, halting the process and calling for a recount of the votes in Florida across the counties. And Bush went in Florida. It was Gore versus Bush, and Bush went to the Supreme Court of the United States, which is the highest in the United States. And it was a Bush versus Gore, and he ran there, and the Supreme Court, the federal Supreme Court, ruled and overturned the decision of the Supreme Court of Florida. That was happening in December, when the president-elect should have been inaugurated, like in Liberia, in January. Americans did not say, no, it's a waste of time, pursuing the legal means, it's undermining our democratic process. They waited patiently because they understand the value of pursuing legal issues through the appropriate legal authority. I think we should be similarly treated in this manner. I think the United States should be proud that we sought the legal remedy rather than going in the bushes. And one thing I've condemned, the United States is seeing this as compared to what degenerated into 14 years of civil conflict. This is not it. When people were cheated in 1985, when I was a young boy, they did not seek legal redress. They opted to go into the butches. The Fourth Civil War, something that could have possibly thwarted the future that I have today, and something that corrupted the future of thousands, if not millions, of young Liberians, something that resulted us into what we have today. Liberia could have been a far better nation if we would have never experienced 14 years of civil conflict. So I think it's a very welcoming thing that we will seek legal redress, and that's where I commend all of the political parties that have, deemed it necessary to pursue the legal means, finding legal remedy to what is unfolding. I think it is the best way forward. But Costa, one of the paramount reasons why I'm here today is to speak to my support for the candidacy of Ambassador
that is why you actually
Joseph Yoman Boakai. It was a very hard decision in my life. I've never supported anything that is close to the Unity Party, and it was just simple. I was a young boy, maybe 9 years, less than 10 years old, when Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf called for the breaking down of the executive mansion, something that was celebrated at the time. But when I grew up as a young boy, acquired a little more education and experience, I felt that that was very selfish, that was very mean, that was very irresponsible on the part of Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. And I made a vow, and I said I would never support a candidacy of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. In 2005, I did not support Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, but that was what the Liberian people decided, and she became the president. I distanced myself from Unity Party. Never worked in the government. Of course, I could have had the opportunity to, but I distanced myself. In 2017, this is Ambassador Joseph Yoman Boakai going into a runoff election, possibly with George Weah, if there's going to be a runoff election, which we don't know what could happen, what could be the decision.
With the trend that we're seeing, all the evidence is
everything happening. But I'm saying that should we go into a runoff election between Joseph Yoman Boakai and Ambassador George Weah, I've resolved, and I remain very resolute, very committed that I will continue to support the candidacy of Joseph Yoman Boakai. I don't know George Weah like that, but I've had many opportunities to hear him, to just tap into what he thinks. I've spoken with people around him, people very close to him, and I've also had the opportunity to speak directly with the Vice President, Ambassador Joseph Boakai, and I think he's a very passionate man. He understands the plight of the Liberian people. He may not be perfect. He must have worked in a system that was not perfect, a system that did not achieve what they could have achieved, but he didn't remember Costa.
Which is why he said we lost out on we squandered many opportunities.
He was honest.
Yeah.
He was honest. He spoke out of honesty. Unlike the folks from the other side who would see the wrong and beautify it to be the right. They see the black, they say it's white. They see the blue, they say it's yellow. Ambassador Boakai said, look, we squandered some opportunities. We could have done better. We did not. And he also spoke of the gains. The government had, some gains, and which he spoke
which we all acknowledge. But they are minimal in our estimation.
Exactly. But he's an honest man. He speaks out of passion. He comes from a very humble background. He's done, everything that he thought was right, to reach where he is. He has given back to Liberia all that he thought he could have done, and a decent public servant could have done. And he's opting for the nation's highest office that will give him, that will vest the mantle of authority to him to call the cut. And that's what we are promoting. Costa, I don't care about how somebody thinks about my support to Ambassador Boakai. I've been attacked on Facebook. I've been called names.
Oh yeah,
they have said all kinds of things about me. It struck my heart yesterday when my daughter sent me a text message, and I'll show it to you after the show. She said to me, Dad, I don't go on your page on Facebook anymore because it hurts my heart when I see people insult you.
And the only reason they're saying that is because you say you're supporting the Vice President.
That's all about it. On Harvard side, I choose a side.
Why are they so
I
intolerant?
believe on the personal conviction based on my personal scrutiny of the candidates available. I strongly believe that Ambassador Boakai is the best option on the table. I didn't think so when they were 20, and I didn't vote for him in the first round because I felt that there was a better option than him when they were 20. When they are 2, he's a better option in every capacity.
Precisely.
Every capacity. I think he brings to the table more experience, Costa. He brings to the table more, sense of balance, sense of reasoning.
Peace and stability.
Peace and stability. His ability to judge between the good and the bad. I think those are things that he rather brings to the table, and I'm very, very resolved. I remain unwavered. I remain very unflinched when it comes to my support to Ambassador Boakai.
What your daughter said is very touching.
It is.
And your only crime is you've chosen a side and have made it public.
Let me tell you something. I was listening to the show 2 days ago, maybe 2, not 3, if not 2 or 3 days. And I heard this caller who called, and he said, Henry Costa, I follow your show, and when he got the airtime, he unleashed.
It was horrible.
It was horrible.
It was the worst I have ever heard on the radio.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
And I screamed in my car because this is a clear indication of where our nation is headed under a CDC lead-led government.
God forbid.
That is where we are headed.
Yeah, I like that.
Should that ever happen? And I said on Facebook, somebody insulted me and went down and said things about me. And I said to them, look, if this is how you guys intend to move ahead with a CDC lead-led government, I want you to understand that I equally have a size 10.5 shoes. If that's where we're going to go, we will all show that we can all pull our size 10.5 shoes out of the closet. But we will fight. We will do everything possible to make sure that there will never, ever, under any condition, be a CDC lead-led government in this nation. It is a threat to our democracy. It is a threat to the future of our children. It is a threat to education. It is a threat to civilization. It is a threat to decency. And that should never, ever, under any circumstance whatsoever, find a place in our nation. We need to fight it. And like Councillor Bronski said, it's an evil child. It has to be aborted. Let's abort that evil pregnancy. And I'm committed to it at the level of the grassroots, community level. I talk to people at the church level, at all levels.
Are you experiencing a shift in public opinion? Are people being shifted away from
oh yeah. And I think you are doing a very great job. You're doing a very
I'm
great
honored to
job.
play my part, but you're also playing your role because I follow your activities on Facebook.
We are all playing our roles, and I don't care about who's watching me or who's not watching me. And I must admit, I'm not one of the person. The last time I was at the Unity Party campaign headquarters was when Augustin Gaffron sent for me, and I was there, and I spoke with him, and I got out. I'm not a Unity partisan. I don't need to be seen.
You ran independent.
I ran independent when I had the opportunity to be a Unity Party's candidate if I wanted to. But I chose not to because I'm a man of independent mind. I make decisions based on my personal conviction.
Let me answer a very important question. A guy like you, who really has nothing to, you could pack up. You have an amazing life in the States. You have an amazing life here as well. But you have options. So you could decide to not be engaged. So why are you risking it? Why are you risking the insults, the attacks that your daughter is having to see and feels bad about? Why are you doing this?
The thing about it is, Costa, I have a 5-year-old daughter. I have a 12-year-old son. I have a daughter out to college. My 5-year-old was born in the United States. So obviously, by birth, she's a U.S. citizen. And she eats cassava leaf. She eats potato grains. We talk about Bowman County, where her mother comes from. She has never seen it. We talk about Cinco, where I was born. She looks forward to an opportunity to come back home one day and call this place her home. I raised her not just as an American, but I raised her as a Liberian, as an African. And if I must grant her what she's entitled to then it means that I must preserve this nation that will be called her home.
That one day she can come to
One
any
day,
time.
remember that it's part of the fact that she's born in the United States at 18. She has the constitutional right to pledge her allegiance to whichever nation she will want to. So I must fight every way possible to preserve this place. This is my country. There is nowhere I call home. I've sat in board meetings, and just so you know, my last job, I resigned. I was a senior staff, and I preside by responsibility. I am the chairman on all meetings. So even if the president of my company came to a meeting, I chair the meeting and I turn over. So I've heard thousands of Americans that tell me, he speaks so well. I like the way you speak. And you know what else they ask me? Where are you from? You are never an American. You are always an African, and you are always.
Oh yeah, Americans love to ask you that.
They ask you.
By the time
where
they
are
learn
you
your
from?
accent is a little different.
They say, where are you
Where are you
from?
from? They don't mean your state.
So why don't I come back and protect where I come from? And it is against this background that I'm doing everything possible. You know how many nights that I receive calls? I don't do as much as you do. But how many nights that I receive calls and people tell me, say, oh, Mr. Barnes, don't sleep home tonight. And I don't know about you. I got several homes. Several homes. I sleep many different places because I know the likes of the people that we are engaging.
But it never used to be like that before you declared support for JNB and started to campaign for JNB.
It used to be. I think I've endured it for a while because I went in a race.
But it's escalated.
It has escalated, but remember again, I was dealing with the Akaris grade factor in district number 8, so you know there were a lot of threats that were coming my way, and but then JMB kind of intensified, and people tell me, "Oh, Jacob Barnes, you can never win election." You know the way they speak as though they control everything.
Yeah, they're telling you because you support Joe Boakai.
Because you support Joe Boakai,
you will never ever.
You'll never
win
ever
an election in the future.
I don't care about you. I'm a career person. I'm 37 years of age here in Costa. I got a happy marriage. I got beautiful kids. I got a career. I'm not where I used to be 15 years ago.
Much better.
I've survived outside of government for 12 years. I can do that for the rest of my life. I provide a job. What saddens me about this whole CDC issue, let me tell you, and I'm struck by that. There are people who have never even seen George Weah. They don't even know who George Weah is.
Yes.
They don't even know what kind of distance builder he carries. And these same people are people who have benefited from my benevolence. People who I've made, people who God has used me to put bread on their table. And they are prepared to insult you, to say some of the most demeaning things about you for a man who they do not know.
And that is dangerous.
Extremely dangerous.
I mean, George Weah, and here's one reason why I'm committed to ensuring, in my little weak way, just as you are, that this man never becomes president of our country.
He will not.
Here is why. That this man, who does not open his mouth to say anything as to why he must be entrusted with the leadership of our country, is followed, is worshipped, is idolized by hundreds of thousands of people who are gullible and impressionable, and some of whom are really there for their own interest, is to me makes George Weah the greatest single threat to our democracy.
It is.
And he must be purged, removed, like a malignant cancer in the human body.
Not only that he is a threat to our democracy, George Weah is a threat to our nation as a whole. If you read history, if you go to the state of Texas, Waco, Texas, you will read the story of a man called David Correa. A man in Texas who just exploited the vulnerability of desperate people in the United States, established a city in Texas. And that was something that...
Isn't that where the cowboy bikers, the gang?
Exactly.
Wacko.
And the end was very catastrophic. There was another situation with another man from California who eventually moved into South America. He moved into Guyana. Called Jim Jones.
Jim Jones, who set up a thing.
He set it up.
A cult.
He set up
that's
a cult.
That's what CDC is.
That's
it's a
exactly
cult.
the direction.
They worship the man. It's not a political party.
That's where it fits. That's where the fear comes from.
In 1978, Jim Jones led his followers to drink the cyanide poison and they died.
The cyanide
He told them
poison,
the world was about to end.
That's exactly.
If John Weah told these people to drink poison, they will drink it.
It will happen. I've seen people on Facebook who I listened to George Weah the other day, and I had to go into it because my fundamental disagreement with George Weah is not about the sophistication.
No, that's a minor issue.
That's a minor thing.
The real thing is the threat he poses to us as a country.
Exactly. And then I heard somebody, when I listened to him on one occasion, he said he tried to say to not give into that provocation, and he said provocation. He said provocation, and then he said the word watching us, and then when blind loyalists would come to defend something like that. I mean, people like, I told Lester Tenney on Facebook yesterday, I said, I'm very disappointed.
A man who claims to have a PhD.
I don't even know where you got your PhD from, and it's because of people like you that George Weah has a place in our body politics. He shouldn't, under no condition, everything that makes a politician unpopular are the things that George Weah is being celebrated for. For God in heaven's sake, Costa, I don't know whether you've done. Go on 9th Street. Go on 9th Street for God in heaven's sake. See George Weah's residence. Something that
it's a dilapidated house.
A dilapidated home. Where is the son that he's ready for the presidency? Where is the son?
A man who
what
makes
you believe that this man can lead this country when he cannot even take care of his private home? Go rehab. See the less than half-mile street that leads from the road of the rehab road to George Weah's home. It's yet unpaved.
It's not even properly graded.
It's not. You can go there.
Of course.
So I'm not talking about his ability to speak good grammar. Somebody said, "Oh, Jacob, you envy George Weah." Yes, in some ways. I do envy him.
Yeah, well, America has hundreds of thousands of people who just
following him for no reason.
He doesn't give them anything.
I envy him for that. But equally so, when it comes to the fact that George Weah listens to me speak, and I speak in this manner, and he speaks in a very disjointed way, I think he envies me too. It's life. He envies me for something. I envy him for something.
Well, if we had a little bit of the juju or whatever it
and
is,
just bring it together, it would be a perfect makeup. That's why it is.
You know, you posted something on Facebook the other day, and I love it. Was one of the funniest but intelligent posts I read.
Tell me about it.
Where Jacob Ban said, "Well, I hear citizens tell me I will never win an election in this country." He said, "You tell me that as if you own your own votes. You do not control your votes." George Weah control you like autopilot.
But that's exactly why
he's like on autopilot, and he will tell you whether to vote for me or not.
Or not. I just need to walk up to George Weah, and
make
of course,
a deal with him.
I'm an intelligent man. I bring a lot to the table. If I wanted to be a sycophant, I could have been in George Weah's circle today. And I've never found myself a place there because even the people that follow him do not believe in him. And I cannot follow a person who I do not believe in. I have friends. I don't know about you, Costa.
I do have friends.
But I have tons of friends who are in George Weah's circle. And I've asked them, I said, give me reasons why I should
I was not part of the inner circle, but I was in his circle for a period of time. But I left. Because I realized the guy was beyond improvement. He could not improve.
Yeah, and they tell me, they said, Jacob, you know, it's about time you got to eat your own. Liberian people, they no good. Don't sit down here and act perfect. I'm not ready for it.
So you see,
I'm not desperate for it.
One of the things you would have to do to stay in George Weah's circle is you have to play dumb.
Yeah.
Don't be intellectual.
Dumb to who?
They don't like smart people.
Dumb to who?
Oh, you have to be dumb around them. George Weah
then you rather playing bar dumb, because if you play dumb around dumb people, then you rather dumb.
But in the land of dumb, you gotta play dumb to fit in.
You know, I'm telling you, it's a serious matter, and I hope that young people who, you see, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, I did not support her candidacy. I was not happy when she became president. But if you look around us after 12 years, you know what happened indirectly, Costa? Even my wife was one of those who it affected positively. Young Liberian girls found the need to pursue higher education. Because just knowing that Ellen Johnson Sirleaf
had become president,
it inspired them indirectly. And my wife say, honey, I need to go to school. And she used it very well. I know many young girls who went back to school, pursue higher education, and they found for themselves marketable and gainful career. With a George Weah's presidency, how does that change young people's approach to life? Do they say, there's a need that I go to school? There's a need that I'm fired up. Barack Obama fires me up all the time. And Costa, I am telling you, I swear to God in heaven, my colleagues in the United States, when I made up my mind to run in this election, Americans reached out to me. They said, Jacob, you should run in the United States. You should run. After the mayor-elect Collins,
Wilma
Collins from Helena in Montana, which of course you know is not a heavily immigrant populated
it's a white state,
it's a white state period.
Yeah.
You know, won the election. I received text messages from friends and said, Jacob, we told you that you can make it in the United States. You have what it takes to make it. But we are making the utmost sacrifice. I could have chosen to become a U.S. citizen. I could have. But above that, I've chosen to remain a Liberian. To remain a Liberian because I strongly believe that we own this country. And if we must change the trajectory of politics in this country, it will be dependent on the decision that we as learned people will take. And that's why I'm making the sacrifice. Costa.
Okay.
We should not get tired.
Here's what I believe, Jacob, before we go to the phone lines and take some calls.
Yeah.
And I'm not hiding it from people. So those of you who are shooting at my car, you better get ready to shoot more. But here is what I have committed myself to. We must stop George Weah. By all means, we must.
Yeah.
George Weah is a threat. He's a danger. And I believe when we beat him in the coming election, whether it's going to be a rerun or a runoff,
and then we end his political career.
we can end it.
We end it forever.
We can end it. And this man who has turned a whole court, a party, he turned it into a court where people worship him.
Yeah.
And turned it effectively into a widow market where he sells things. And we need to ensure that we take that from him.
Yeah.
A man who just grabs 25-30% of the votes and holds them hostage. And then you have to go and do a deal with him. And people will be giving... this man must be stopped. And that is what some of us are committing ourselves to. So you can say whatever you want to say. We're not winning election here. You don't control your own votes, like Jacob Ban said. All I need to do, if I want to run a city ticket the next time, I just need to find small money and go give it to George Weah.
Isn't that what Robert Sirleaf is doing?
Of course. That's what Robert Sirleaf is doing. So, CDC said Robert Sirleaf was their enemy. Today, George Weah said on VOA that if Robert Sirleaf joined his party, which means Robert Sirleaf is open to join his party, and his party is welcoming Robert Sirleaf, he would go and become Robert Sirleaf's campaign manager.
Yeah.
That's what George Weah said.
So he says, in short, he said, I don't care about the injustice that was perpetrated by Robert on the Liberian people.
The hundreds of millions that got missing. I don't care.
I don't care about it. As long as he joins my party and pays loyalty to me, that would be fine.
Are you kidding me? And this is the man that seditions are following. Yeah. The man who's telling you one of the greatest economic, political enemies of our country, Rob Sirleaf. Yeah. He's telling you if the man comes and joins our party, of course the man is already there. You know, when somebody says, but when I don't care, if you tell me, say, when Jacob Ban already there. He's just pretending. Yeah. And he's saying that. But we're going to go to the phone lines and take some calls. Jacob Ban is our guest, and he ran in District Number 8, a very brilliant young Liberian. And of course, he's come here today to publicly on this platform announce that he's decided that he is going to be with Joe Boakai because he believes between the two, Joe Boakai is the better candidate. And of course, our reasons for supporting Joe are very similar, and that is why he's here this morning. So we're going to go to the phone lines, Joseph, and we'll take some calls there. Brother Barnes is our guest this morning on the program. Let's take this very first caller on this line. Good morning.
Good morning, Henry Costa, and again, good morning to you. My name is Eric Swagin. I am the
Your line is low, Chief. I'm very sorry, I have to leave it there. Your line is very low. I don't know what the problem is. Let's take this call. Morning.
Yes, good morning.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Costa. Speak down.
Oh, you have to lower that volume in the background, Chief. Please.
Yeah, okay. Oh, sorry. Okay, I think it's better now.
Much better. It is.
Okay. And good morning to Bounce.
Good morning.
Liberia, we need to be very, very much serious in this country. And we want to be committed to the future of our country. And that's why we do not want this country to get into the hands of somebody who is not prepared. And that's why we want to commend the parties that are contesting the result of this election, because there are clear evidence that the elections were rigged. For the fact that they provided a fair draft that is far different from which countries are far different from what they actually have. They already revealed the fact that there's a cartel at neck, to rig the election against the will of the Liberian people. And so we are calling on the Supreme Court now to be very, very much, soundly judgmental to protect the interests of the Liberian people, and they shouldn't listen to any other party, because we heard some other parties making statements that are not in the interest of the people, are in the interest of the people. So we want the judgment of the court to be in the interest of the people, protect the people's votes, protect our democracy, so that we can see the future of our country. We don't want to continue to get in the hands of somebody who is just a complete dumb. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, my dear brother. Thank you very much. Let's take a few more calls and come back to Brother Barnes to close up. We had to extend the time. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Jacob.
Good morning, sir.
This is Eric. I am calling from West Point.
Mm-hmm.
Henry, I couldn't agree with you any more than how you put it this morning. Like you have said, like all of the evidence displayed at the level of the court and the neck, we will resolve that we're not going to go to a runoff election, because from all indications, we must go to a rerun. And to speak to you more regarding the issues that Honorable Barnes have just said, I am more intrigued when he said that somebody posted to him on Facebook and said they're not going to vote for him when election. And he said to them, do you control your own? Just subscribing? So where we are in Western, we are threatened on a daily basis, and people want to buy our masks because we have said that we cannot vote for a George we presidency. But truth to you, Georgia has got nothing to offer this country. And so we're now going to allow the future of Liberia to slip in the hands of those barbaric, and barbaric.
Sorry, my brother. I think we lost you there. Let's take another caller right here. Good morning.
Good morning, Costa. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
My name is Professor Dennis Jr. and I join you from UNJ.
Let's hear you, my friend.
Yeah, I want to thank you for you so much for that of the big that in studio. You have said it all. I think we need to do all what we can to stop this future from crossing. And by the grace of God, it will not go nowhere. Can you imagine, Costa, so I think on Monday, I listened to this radio like this, Costa, about my worst day of listening to radio when I listened to the guy expression towards you. It was very horrible. You think I listen to people, you ask them, what really do you want for church that is president? All they have to say to you is, I tell that man, what does he say? But imagine, even the guy told me that with no due respect for Jesus Christ, he crashed into much of the country and wanted to roll against church here. He said to me that he won't vote for church here.
That's the level we're reaching.
Of course. So why this guy have to give it to those people? So I think we need to do all what we can. If you normally read bad newspaper and the people fled their loyalty to serious people in room when people that what happened, they break down. We cannot have a country where you have everybody paying their loyalty to one person. What is you behind this thing?
Your loyalty must be to the state. Yes.
To the state, not individual. I think we need to do all what we can in our power to stop this. Thank you so much, because
okay, my brother. Thank you very much. Let's take our brother Joseph Blake here, and then we'll come back to Brother Barnes to close up. Brother Blake, good morning.
Good morning, Costa, and good morning, Brother Barnes. Costa, let me firstly say sorry for the attack on your car. I saw the pictures on Facebook, and I don't want anyone to say that is a rat mark. That can never be. But now we're saying good will always triumph over evil, and no harm will be done to you, Costa. It's the cause that you are taking on. It is for the interest of the country, and God in His wisdom will protect you. Now let's go to the case. Costa, many of those who claim that they are going for CDC, right? They are saying they are angry with the way this country has been ran for over 12 years. I also share in that sympathy, right? But then where are we transferring our aggression? Where is those people that ran this country? Where are the major actors? Where are they now? Where is the former speaker? Where is the president? Where is Ralph Daly? Where is Amar Khan? Where is the light of the transport minister? Where are the lights of the? Where are they? Are they with the ruling party? As you